Everybody, and welcome to the Wait What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 209. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch the podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you can join in on the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, wherever you're watching, listening to the show, if you drop a follow, a sub, whatever it may be, depending on your platform. It may seem small, but it does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we love and appreciate you for it. Today, 3 topics. Craziness ensues as we go a wide variety with all these topics. I mean, I guess the second 2 are both game related. This first one definitely is weird. Let's talk about Supermarket Sweep. Where did this come from? Well, a little backstory of why the hell I'm even talking about this. So, a lady and I were just chilling over the weekend, and on our TVs, usually, obviously we watch streams, we watch TV shows on streaming services or whatever, YouTube, etc. But we have Samsungs, and on the Samsung TVs, I assume this is on all of them now. But Samsung has like its own streaming service or TV network, I guess you could call it. So they have Samsung TV Plus, and it always auto plays before you switch your sources or go to your new app, if it's a smart TV, whatever it may be. And usually whatever's on there isn't the most intriguing. I think we stumbled upon a Medium marathon one time that we watched for a little bit, but most of the time it's been like weird B, C level movies that they kind of have gotten there. So out of curiosity, I just decided, all right, let me see what actually is involved channel-wise on here. And they have a few things, like I talked about Mediums on there. I think they have Numbers, which is just, both of those are like a channel dedicated to those to play at 24 hours, 24/7. There's movie channels, and then I stumbled upon game shows, and I'm like, oh, maybe this will be fun. There's a channel that just 24/7 Supermarket Sweep. So lady and I decided to watch that one day for a bit, and we had actually a great time with it, and it's kind of worked its way into the rotation of things that we'll watch from time to time, just throw on like while we're eating food or just chilling for the night, whatever it is. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now, I had known, obviously, the basis of Supermarket Sweep, like how it was a show, and then it's just people running through the grocery store trying to get as much groceries as they can in a certain amount of time. I didn't understand the build up to the final sweep, or whatever they call it, with that big run. I didn't understand that, or how they got there, the in-betweens. I thought it was just that one final part, but seeing the escalation, the build to it, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. The games that they play, and how players acquire their time. Man, Moose really loves the show too, if you guys couldn't tell. Yeah. Do you want to say hi again? I'm here. Audio adventure. You guys are missing out on a cat. There he is. Hello, I love Supermarket Sweep. It's where I take my naps. On a chair. Anyways, so if you don't know the premise of the show, the one we're watching, 3 teams compete, teams of 2, and everybody starts out with a minute and a half on their timers for the final sweep at the end of the game, and you answer certain questions that will either get you a money bonus or 10 seconds added to your clock. So there's 3 rounds. One partner does a 3-question round, something like that. Second partner comes up and does their round, and the last round is a round robin where they go back and forth for a minute of game time up for play. After all that is acquired, they go into their final sweep. Whoever got the most time, obviously they get to go first, and then as the clock counts down, whoever got the second highest time will go when that time approaches. Same with the third team. And they're running through, and obviously the main goal is get as much in your cart monetary like a monetary value in your cart by the end of your allotted time that you have been running through the supermarket. So you'll see certain items that a lot of people go for, like the meat department seems to be a big one. Turkeys, hams. I think there's been like a brisket or like a rack of ribs or whatever that people go for a lot. Diapers is always a big popular one. And then you just see them kind of go for anything and everything. So they'll have that, and then they'll also have, depending on when the episode's aired, the channel we've been watching, David Rubrick has been the host the entire time, and I believe that's the longest run of the show. I know they rebooted it in like 2020 here, but it didn't go super long. But there's been different iterations. The main one that we've seen is he gives like a shopping list. So if they get all 3 items on this shopping list, they get a bonus $250 to their score. So you'll see them going for that over other iterations of the show, or rather as the years have gone on. They've had like grind up some coffee beans, get you an extra 100. If your teammate designs a cake or writes out the logo, rather, the name of the show on a cake, you get 100. If your partner does recycling, you get 100. Like the final 30 seconds, a product will be called out and you got to go search for it in a specific bucket. I'm trying to think if there's been anything else. Oh, there's been coupon readers, when those were not readers, but coupon distributors on the side. There was one where there's a secret item, but you got to check all the 3 TVs somewhere in the supermarket to get clues of what the product is. So it's just craziness. So you have that. You also have, there's a bonus out there for each team. It's like a not giant, but a inflated product, like a balloon almost, that they need to take and physically bring back to the start area. And they need to cross the threshold and get it in that threshold in order for it to count. And that could be 50, 100, 250. Later seasons, I believe it was higher. So it's just insane seeing these people run around, try to, acquire the groceries. It seems like the shopping list is a big game changer. We've seen, obviously, a lot of winners from the top spot where they have the most time. Makes sense. You have more time, you're going to acquire more in your cart. But we've seen some drastic comebacks where a team has had 1:40, so essentially they only got one question correct and have come back because they got the shopping list and were smart with what they were acquiring. So that's pretty cool that it doesn't feel super lopsided, or can have that like anybody's in the race type thing. And then something I appreciate just from the game show type thing, and like not being, a lot of shows have that drama aspect and that collision of like people arguing over stuff or whatever. I caught ya. You were going to jump up to the bookshelf, weren't you? To avoid that, they limit everybody to 5 of each item. So like we talked about the turkeys earlier, you can only get 5 turkeys, and you get 5 hams, and you get 5 whatever. So that way people aren't just similar to Black Friday deals, like just standing there yanking at a TV trying to fight over it. And I appreciate that because I don't particularly like that drama and fighting aspect. I know some people do, and there's a lot of TV for that. But I appreciate this little workaround. We haven't noticed like a lot of malicious play here and there. I think we saw one where they were blocking each other a little bit with their carts, but nothing bad. There's been actually a lot of camaraderie, it seems, in the show. Like they congratulate each other after winning or getting a question right, things like that. So that's nice. It seems like it's more just for the fun of it. So if the team wins that final sweep, so they'll obviously tabulate whatever totals they have from the bonuses, the groceries they got. And then the winning team will go on the final sweep. And what that is their opportunity to get $5,000. So it's 3 riddles and clues. Rubric gives out the first one, the host, and they need to run, find it. And then that product will have the next clue. And they have to get 3. And if they get that third, they'll find the $5,000 allegedly dollars with that, and then they can add that to their total. So either way, they're walking away with whatever money they got from the sweep. They could just add to their total there. I think yeah, we've seen a lot of people get it, seen a lot of people not get it, and they're like so close to where it's either just right behind them or it's just they're not connecting with the clues, whatever it is. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's the episodes, or at least on the channel, how it works, go by very, very fast, and with limited commercials in between is kind of nice as well. It's not that full streaming service where it's just go, but it's been a lot of fun to jump into and to try and guess the puzzles. So they have a bunch of different ones where it's a riddle or it's the opposite. He'll give like an opposite name of a product. Or I think my favorite one is usually in the second round, it will be just a bunch of blank spaces, and he'll periodically give like a letter at a time, and you have to guess what the name of the product is. That's been a lot of fun. There's been definitely some products I'm like, what is that? I have no idea what the name of that is or what that product is. But it's been a lot of fun. So like I said, we've watched for a while since we stumbled upon it. It seems to be only the Rubric, era. I don't think they have. I think there was 3 other hosts, maybe 2. Like I said, they tried to relaunch it 2020. Unfortunately, the world got in the way. So let's see. They had a 65 to 67 run, a 1990 to 95 run, a 2000 to 2003 run, and then the 2020 to 2022 run. Just fun, crazy time. But like I said, doesn't have that maliciousness to it. So I appreciate that as well. So yeah, just wanted to gush about Supermarket Sweep. I guess for a little bit. Definitely random, but good times. So yeah, if you got a Samsung, maybe you should check out if you got the Supermarket Sweep channel. Enjoy some grocery shopping. Let's move over to topic 2. Let's switch over from game shows to an actual game, video game rather. Let's talk about Balatro, and I think that's how you say it, Balatro. Balatro. I apologize for butchering it. But this is an indie game that's it's come out recently, I believe, as of recording, maybe 3 weeks to a month ago. Hold on, February 20th. Okay, about a month ago. It released, and it has been blowing up across podcasts that I've listened to and different journalists, that's the term, that I follow online. Everybody's really enjoying this game, and I had a gift card that I had available to me, so I decided to try it out and jump into it, and I'm absolutely loving it as well. So if you don't know what the game is, essentially, here's the Steam description. The poker roguelike Balatro is a hypnotically satisfying deck builder where you play illegal poker hands, discover game-changing jokers, and trigger adrenaline-pumping outrageous combos. So, in its core, it is a poker game. Now, this isn't a typical poker game like Texas Hold'em or, I guess, your base poker, where you're playing against other players, you're doing the bets, the antes, all that stuff. This is just you against, you and a score... Not chaser, that sounds right. Just trying to get your highest score. That's what it is. You're trying to meet these criteria. So you are given 8 to 9 cards each round or hand that you have, and you need to assemble your best poker hand with those cards. Now, each time you go into a game or a round per se, you have so many discards. So if you don't have something or you want to try and get something better, you can discard and kind of bet on the odds to see if you can get something better to assemble for more points. So typical poker hands, 2 of a kind, pair, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, straight, flush, royal flush, whatever it may be. High card. You're going to try and play those to accumulate points. Starts off easy, obviously gets a little bit more challenging and difficult as you go on. But, for example, you have 4 hands to get 600 chips. And based on the hands that you play, you'll be rewarded higher chip amounts for what you played. So, for example, a high card, not going to get you that much because it's only that 1 card value, and you're not going to get a lot of chips from it. But something like a flesh, which is a little bit more difficult to come by or make, you're going to get rewarded for that. So that's the basic element of it. Just use your cards, try and chase that high score, or rather that score threshold, to move on progressively through the levels. The other thing that they add to it with the roguelike element, similar to your Hades and, oh boy, I mean, there's numerous upon numerous roguelikes, but let's go with Hades just because that's one of the ones I'm most familiar with. You'll get modifiers along the way to make your cards more powerful and strong. So they had mentioned the Joker cards. So Jokers, there are apparently 150 of these across the game. You are allowed to have up to 5 at any point. After each round, you go into the store, which this will be important for later topics, or not topics, later aspects as well, where you have the opportunity to buy these Jokers. And these Jokers have a wide variety of effects. Some are very simple, where they just add to your score multiplier. So every time you score a hand, you get a chip amount that accumulates based on the card value, or the face value of the card. So number values are what they are. Face cards are 10, and then your ace is 11. So if you had a flush, for example, I have on the screen here an ace 8, 5, 3, 2, it would be 11 plus 8 plus 5 plus 3 plus 2. You do that, it would times to your multiplier, go into your score, right? So these Jokers, some of them are very simple, where they can add to your multiplier. They can add to your chip count. There's other ones where if you play certain cards, for example, you play heart cards, you'll get a bonus there. If you play a flush, you'll get a bonus there. There's so many of them that can alter what you are doing in that specific run in your roguelike journey that affect your score, help you get more and more chips as you go on, and try and help you beat the game. So that's one aspect of a tool that you can use to achieve higher scores. There's 2 other components as well. There are celestial cards and there's arcana cards. Celestial cards are essentially planet cards, and then there's also spectral cards. The spectral cards are a little bit more varied in their abilities, similar to the Joker cards, but these are like one-time uses. Similar to the planets, they're also one-time use, but what the planets do is they increase your level, or rather your chip output, per each hand. So at the start, everything starts at level 1, but if you play a Jupiter card, for example, that adds a level to your flush ability. So you'll get more chips as you're playing it, and you'll add to your multiplier as well. So you could try and, for example, the game that I won, the only one, I had a pretty good run of like bonuses where flushes were really good to me. So I tried to level up the Jupiter, or rather get those Jupiter cards to level up the flush as much as I could to get more and more payout. So my Jokers would help me and those cards would help me. So that's one way to boost yourself. And then we went over to, or rather we talked about the ancestral cards. These are, and I believe that's the right word. Maybe it's alchemy. Oh boy, why am I blanking? Oh, it's like tarot cards. Why am I thinking ancestral? I apologize. Arcana. That's the word. My bad. Arcana cards. These are different buffs as well that you can play that will change your cards. Some will become holographic or foil or gold, and they each have different variables, or rather effects to them. So gold cards can reward you more money for the store, whether you play it in your hand or you keep it and just don't use it. Foils, I believe, give you bonus chips that you can acquire when you score. There's a stone one that just automatically gives you 50. If you like have nothing else to use, you can throw it out there. I don't remember the holographics, I believe, add to your multiplier. So you have the various effects there. There's also arcana cards that can change certain cards. So you can either level them up. So for example, turn a 9 into a 10. There's ones that can change their suit. So we talked about the flushes earlier. Maybe you're going for spades. You gotta change these hearts. 3 more spades right there. So there's a wide variety of things that you can change and alter as you are going through. You start with a 52 card deck. That can change as well. You can accumulate even more playing cards. I think the most I've had at a time is 65. I don't know if there's a cap, but you can also lower that. So if you just want 20 good cards in your hand, you can get rid of them. I haven't noticed a great way to do that yet, but apparently there's an achievement to play with like 5 cards in your hand. No idea why you would do that, but there's that. So that's just the basic gameplay. Now I say basic. That's just the like kind of tip of the iceberg of the basics for each run and your gameplay. You have your Arcana, you have your Celestial, you have your Joker, and then you have your cards, and you're just trying to accumulate chips as you go through. Each ante, you're trying to run through 8 antes, has a small blind, a big blind, and then your boss fight. You could skip the 2 antes if you want. I haven't done that at all, so I don't know if it costs a resource or anything like that. But each has a score that you're trying to get. So I believe for the first one, it's like 600, 850, and I don't know, 1,000 something. You get through those 3, you move up to the next ante, and the scores become higher and higher and higher as you go. If you defeat all 8, you technically won. You can play in endless mode from there if you just want to keep going with that deck and you're having a great time. Totally cool, you could do that. But that's essentially how you beat the game. And it's one of those things where, like many roguelikes, it's rinse, repeat, and you're just trying to challenge yourself with each run, see how far you can go. It isn't anything where you keep things afterwards, so like a Hades, as we'll harken back to that or compare it again, as Zagreus gets more powerful as you go along. Here it's a fresh start every time. The things that you do unlock is through your collections. So there's so many planet cards, Joker cards, whatever it is. If you use, buy, spend, whatever it is, over your gameplay a certain amount, you can unlock more Joker cards to be found in the store throughout your gameplay. So that's kind of the one aspect that transfers over from game to game, is you just kind of gather more resources, typically more powerful cards, to help you in further games. There's also, you're probably asking like, well, you beat the game, what else is there after? There's different decks that you can play with that alter the game a little bit more as you go along, kind of add more modifiers to that run. So the first one, the red, gives you 1 discard, so you're allowed an additional discard per each game or hand rather that you're playing. The blue deck, which is the next one I believe, gets you an extra hand. Then there's numerous ones there, and then there's also challenge decks, which I haven't gotten to that point with only winning once, and I'm doing that thing where I'm like only playing, so I completed the red deck, I'm now only playing the blue deck until I beat that. I don't know if that's stubborn or whatever it is, but I haven't really gone and messed around with the other ones to see what they offer. But all in all, this game's been a lot of fun. I think this is also just a single developer, if I'm not wrong, which is insane just to think of how this game blew up. Like, good for them. They're probably doing very, very well. I think on Steam alone, it says they sold 1 million units. So, hot damn. And this is across numerous platforms. This is on Steam. This is on PlayStation where I'm playing. I believe this is on Xbox as well. So, if this sounds like something up your alley, something, not turn your brain off, but something you can find enjoyment out of, where it is just that gameplay, it's easy to access, it's difficult to master, and I think it has a very good way of scaling things up. It never feels like frustrating, which is great. It's just like, nope, not gonna make it this time, let's run it again. Like, it's very easy to just go and be like, oh crap, I've spent 3 hours playing this game already. And it's fun. It's a blast to play. I'm looking forward to playing more tonight, actually, after I get done with podcast here. But yeah, I would definitely give it a try. Yeah, if you like poker, whether you like poker or you don't like poker, it's one of those things where you can always reference to like what the hands are if you need any assistance. And you can play to your strengths as well with how you craft your deck. Obviously, there's a little bit of that random element where you might not always get the cards that you want, so you kind of have to steer in a different direction, play with what they give you. But there is that freedom there too. If you notice, wow, I'm getting a lot of, I don't know, pairs, I better build this up, whatever it might be, you can transform your hand, your deck, into something that you feel a little bit more confident playing. You don't have to play like, oh, I need to get a straight, this is going to be the best thing ever, or I need to get a royal flush. You can play simple hands and build that multiplier up and still make it far into this game. Like, I think early stages when I was playing, I was doing a lot of 2 pairs, and then I started finding that flushes were working for me well, and that's where I spent a lot of my resources, and it worked out. So you kind of just got to go with what you're feeling, see what works, see what doesn't, and just roll with it. So once again, Balatro, check it out, or Balatro, check it out. It's a lot of fun. Definitely recommend it. And this will be certainly one of those games we talk at the end of the year of like, yeah, this came out of nowhere. I didn't even know about this game until we dove into it. So yeah. Last but not least, you're getting 3 topics, but we're flying by here. I need to talk to 2K and Visual Concepts one-on-one. No, everybody else is here for the ride. So as you might know, I love playing WWE 2K24, well, 2K series. Since they've relaunched in 21, no, 22, they took the break. This has been one of the games I put the most time into year after year. Hundreds of hours, dumping time into GM mode specifically, jumping back into that since they've reintroduced it, changed it up, and modified it since 22, 23, and now 24. But this is where I have a problem with Visual Concepts and 2K, and I hope they're listening. They're probably not. 2K, you need to fix GM mode. You ruined it. No, you did not ruin it. There was a lot of good additions, I feel, to this year's 2K. GM mode, if you want more in-depth thoughts on my review over 2K24, you can go check out last week's episode. But there is a glaring omission in 2K24's GM mode this year, and its custom rosters are useless. You heard me right. Custom rosters are useless. For those of you who don't know, the way I play GM mode, no, I'm not making an AEW roster. No, I'm not making a WCW roster, ECW roster. More power to you if you do that. That's great. That's part of the fun of this. That's what you should be able to do, is make whatever roster you want, have some fun with it, and go nuts. The roster that I make is I get rid of all of the creative superstars, creative wrestlers that 2K provides for us, and put them as the local talent. Instead, I say, hey, NXT is our development brand, third brand, however you want to look at it. I'm going to make those guys the local talent, and then I'm going to add superstars and wrestlers that maybe didn't make this year's game. I'm going to add them in there. So, for example, with this year, I'm going to add Authors of Pain. I'm going to add Naomi. I'm going to add, well, not Kairi Sane, because those are DLC, guys. I patiently wait for those. Wish they would be here sooner. But I add wrestlers like that who maybe have arrived since the game's roster was made. Add them in there. Make it the most complete roster that I can. I'll add those to the active roster. I'll add certain superstars who are part-time into the contracted superstars or legends, like a John Cena, Logan Paul at the time last year was kind of here or there. But I'll finagle those things as you should be able to. That's the love or that's the freedom that you have here. However, with 2K24, they have now introduced ring levels. Fun concept, fun thing that you can do. The more you use a superstar, the more they're in promos, the more they're in matches. They gain experience, and their ring level goes up, their popularity goes up, their star value goes up, and you're also rewarded with little different attributes where you can change their class, you can get different power cards, whatever it is. And depending on their level, you have more of those. Legends will be higher. Your active superstars, you can build up to that level. They'll start at like a 5 to 8 level, I think, is like established superstars. And then you have 9 to 14, which is superstars. I don't remember the exact verbiage. I apologize. So you have those. Great addition. However, these values cannot be adjusted or changed at all in your customization, making your custom wrestlers and custom superstars absolutely useless. The reason they are useless is whenever they show up in a draft, in the scout talent agency, whatever it is, they are all zeros. Now, you're probably like, well, Bret, this means they can level up easily. Sure does. However, if I want to draft these superstars onto my roster, I am now set at a disadvantage against either A, my human partners or opponents, or the CPU that's ready to murk me and do all of the negative cards against me in the world. I'm playing at a disadvantage. My star power is lower because I've bought these people. There's no point in drafting these people. It doesn't make it fun. It doesn't make it exciting to put these superstars in there, whether you're doing like me, trying to keep an up-to-date roster, or you're fantasy booking and doing an AEW versus a WWE, or WWE, or rather WWF or the old days, and your WWE kind of meshing, doing those dream match scenarios. It can still work in terms of the small things, right? You could still match up classes together and that will work. They'll still gain popularity if they're in matches, they're doing that. But it works against you in the fact that those ring levels add to your quality of the show. And if they all start at 0, there's not really incentive to bring them in. So I would just ask, please, if we could take a look at that, be like, oh, this is something we need to clean up. Maybe we should do that. Also, if you want to bring your legends and you want to bring them into your active roster for your draft, a la me, something I do, Rey Mysterio. Obviously, he's a legend. Obviously, he's been wrestling for longer than I've been alive. He's doing great stuff. They put him as a legend / part-timer by default. I put him as an active wrestler because guess what? He is an active wrestler. Just came back from injury not too long ago. He pops in there and he wants $700,000 in the draft. I can't spend that much on one person. I'm already roughing it, getting 9 people and feeling poor. There needs to be some way we can modify these things so it's not just... There has to be some way it can make sense to customize and not just feel like I'm getting bent over and there's no reward or incentive to do these things because the values are so absurdly high or absurdly low. And the thing is too, with the custom superstars, for example, going back to that for a moment, their ring levels are at 0. Their contracts are like match up with the other superstars. It's not like, oh, they're ring level 0. They're in the draft. I'm going to pick up, we'll go with Authors of Pain just because we talked about them earlier. Like, I'm going to pick up the Authors of Pain. It's not like they're 25,000 a piece. No, they're still 215, 100, whatever. Like, they're in acceptable price range in comparison to the rest of the roster. It's just the ring level is 0 compared to 8 for whoever's near them. It's just, it seems like a very silly omission that could have just slipped through the cracks. Like, you're adding these new things, obviously across the entire game, and adding just things to the game mode itself with the different match types, the match unlocks, the new logistics system, the trading aspect. This seems like one of those things that fell through the cracks, and hopefully, whether through me, it's not going to be through me, but whatever it is, they notice this and like, oh, this is something we need to fix. I just think this should be higher on the priority list of fixes, because this takes away from the mode a little bit too much. It just makes it not rewarding for the players to do anything with custom rosters, I feel. And I think that's a big miss. So yeah, just wanted to give this little rant. GM mode, the biggest fix I can see. Are there other fixes they could possibly do? Yeah. Maybe your GMs, when they're trading, if their CPU, shouldn't be trading away their world heavyweight champion for two of my guys. I mean, I'll take it. You want to give me your world champion, Cody Rhodes? Sure, come on over. Take Damian Priest and Brittany Battleship, who's doing social media. I don't know. There's some weird things in there. I do still like playing the mode a lot. It's just this is a little bit of a dampening of like, that's not as fun. I get it. You could also be just like tough it out. The long run, you got 10 seasons to do that. That's true. You could, but that build is going to be slow and it's going to take a while. And there's no guarantee you're going to get those people back, whether they're drafted to another show or they just don't show up in your talent scout thing. Is it worth it to take such a deficit in Hall of Fame trophies or wins to that CPU to then really claw and fight your way back in like season 7? Okay, it's not going to take that long. Season 5 or whatever to get your momentum going. Like, do you want to spend and invest that much time in raising certain superstars just to win? No, you're just going to go with not what's easy, but what's there and already. There's no reason to pick up, oh, I really like Ty Dillinger from NXT. Oh, sorry, Sean Spears. Or Kiana James, or Tatum Paxley, or who else is in there that we uploaded? Like the Metaphor. You're not going to do that because there's no incentive to you because you're getting just slapped every week as they're getting thousands upon thousands. You're like, I just like looking at this picture. No, you want it to be fun. So, 2K. Hopefully you fix this. Hopefully you just notice that, oops, we messed up here. And hopefully we don't have to wait till 2K25. Because, yeah, the additions that they did add are fun. It's definitely different from 2K23. Some things we need to get used to. Not saying it's all going to be perfect. It's one of those things where time will tell what really worked, what didn't, as we talked about last week. But this is a big L. This is a big miss, and we should fix it. Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you join on the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's a-okay. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and puts one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, wherever you're listening or watching to this, if you drop a follow or a sub, it may seem small, but it does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. Listen to a wide variety of topics. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.